This is Business Decoded podcast with Ronnie Spellman. An informal chats with top business moguls as they share their stories of failure and success in a fun and relaxed way. Get entertained, educated, and unlock the secrets to success.
Welcome to Business Decoded with Ronnie Spellman. I am back with my dear friend and guest, Jay Rogers, who joined us previously. Jay, the last conversation we had was incredible. We spoke about your book. We spoke about the businesses that you've helped build and grow and sell, and the story about building the one business and the Smart Start business was just incredible, that you had everyone telling you no, and you built it despite getting those no's. And I promise you that I have you back on the show so that we can talk about Biz Owners Ed, which is an organization you founded. Your organization is designed to do the exact same thing that we're doing here at the podcast, and that's help business owners, business leaders figure out how to build successful businesses. And I want to spend as much time as we can on this program talking about Biz Owners Ed. So tell us how you started it, why you started it, and how it's structured.
Well done. I spent a lot of my time when I was still active in my own businesses helping other people. And because my wife and I have no children, our focus is a little different than people that have the job of making their primary activity raising great kids.
Right.
So my activity became helping serious, committed entrepreneurs grow their companies. I believe that, and Ronald Reagan said it well, he said that entrepreneurs and their small enterprises create most of the economic growth in our country.
They do.
And it's very true. So if they grow their business and make some money, they can hire more people and move ahead. And that's what we're trying to accomplish is strengthen the foundation of this country with more jobs.
Small businesses are so critical here in this country and around the globe. A lot of people are familiar with the brand names, the big names, but these small businesses that we may not know by name, they do incredible work. They're innovative. They bring a lot of value to the local community because they're invested in the local community. So what you're doing is incredible. So tell us more about it.
Well, the first thing I did was decide I needed a bunch of help, and I looked around at my contacts in business and personal friendships and brought together a group to explain the vision I had for Biz Owners Ed, which was simply to help serious, committed entrepreneurs grow their companies and in doing so create more jobs and strengthen our great country. At that meeting, I got a half a dozen enthusiastic supporters of the concept, and I named them all co-founders because I wanted them to buy in full. Mm-hmm. And so with my co-founders, we created Biz Owners Ed. We spent a better share of a year designing the program and had a gentleman from Austin, Texas, come up to Dallas when we were having our planning sessions. He knew a lot about the entrepreneurial world, and we paid him pretty well. And I got to wondering if maybe we'd overpaid him, but he gave us one piece of advice that was worth more than all we paid him for the whole time he gave many trips he made up. And that was, we originally had planned to run the program 2 nights a week. And he said, if you do that, you're going to screw this program up. 1 night a week is all it'll stand.
Interesting.
And he was so right, and it has made so much difference that we didn't overload the staff, the mentors, the guests, the 1 night a week for 10 consecutive weeks. We run the program on every Tuesday. From 4 in the afternoon to 8 in the evening. We take a pretty good break midway and give everybody enough food that they don't extinguish during the program, and we even pour them a good glass of wine.
Well, so what's interesting, though, and I've been to your program, you have how many at the U-shaped table? 12?
Right. We have 12 that we invite to be in the class, and the class, these people have a successful business underway, a minimum revenue of $1 million annually, and we've had people with $20-30 million revenue in the class, but at a minimum of, and we want them to be the primary owner.
Nice.
And have a few other criteria that we look at in inviting people for the class. However, the only one that's in absolute stone is we've got to be convinced they're serious about growing and expanding a business and not just running a lifestyle business.
And Jay, I've not seen anything like it. I've been at programs throughout the country, but you run it almost like a Harvard University program. You have the 12 people that are there, and then you have a gallery of a few hundred people that can come with a modest donation. You give them a great meal as a part of the entire program. And it's just to see the collaboration between people living in the gallery. You bring in speakers, but they're not just your normal speaker that's giving a speech. It's people giving inside advice on how to build a successful business. Everything from articles of incorporation, how to structure your business. It's incredible. So walk our listener through some of those elements. You've got your main attorney there that's helping them?
Absolutely.
Podcasts are so popular, even monkeys are doing it.
75% of Americans listen to podcasts monthly. That's 210 million people in the United States alone. And yes, podcasts are profitable. Joe Rogan is making $30 million per year. Your content, your knowledge is worth sharing. Don't just dream it, do it. Visit AndyCostaFilms.com/podcast and turn your content into leaks.
Turns out my main attorney, and not surprisingly, is M&A attorney, merger and acquisition, and has handled, he personally has overseen the last 14 companies I've sold.
Okay.
So we are
a lot of experience.
He also is my closest friend at this point. We have a great time. We work beautifully together because as an entrepreneur, ever since we teamed up, I've never read a contract. He can go through 40 pages and come back and sit me down and say, Jay, there's 4 items in this contract you'll want to make a decision on, and here they are, and here's my thinking on them. But that works out just above and beyond. And we invite mentors, and we've probably invited 28 mentors. I think I'm pretty close.
Okay.
I think we've only had 4 turn us down. But to be invited, you have to have taken a stagnant or startup company to mega millions.
Right.
You have to give of your time and your knowledge. And unlike any other program that you've ever heard of, our mentors have to write a $5,000 check to our nonprofit just to prove they're serious about helping.
That's important, and it's impressive. I think that gives a level of commitment and seriousness to their role in helping these other entrepreneurs.
It does, and from the people that are selected for the class, we ask them to put up a $1,500 refundable deposit.
Okay.
And the way it runs is that if they miss a class, and sometimes they'll say, I'm going to be out of the country, I'll miss a class. That costs them $500 of their deposit.
Okay.
And they accept that if they know in advance or they pay it, whatever.
Right.
If they're a minute late for a class, that's $100. Just to give you an example, the last 2 years, with a class of 12, $1,500 each, that is $18,000 in deposits. The last 2 years, we've had $2,500 to $3,000 in fines that came off of those deposits.
Okay.
The 2 years past, the class has left all but a total of $4,000 as donations to the program. So the people in the class believe it's worth it.
Right. And that's amazing. And your list that we spoke in the last program about your circle of friends, you absolutely have one of the best circles of friends that I think I've seen, and I've known a lot of wonderful people. But one of your mentors was even a guest on Shark Tank, if I remember correctly.
Yes, and in fact, Rick Hopper had read arrest,
Yes.
a little piece you put on your coat or your shirt, and you can put your glasses in it. He did not get any money from Shark Tank, but the gal on Shark Tank that has QVC put his product on QVC, and he sold over $1 million worth of these read arrests at $10 a piece or whatever they are. And Rick recently sold his company, Read Arrest, and so he's now spending a great deal of time helping with Biz Owners Ed.
That's amazing. And if I remember correctly, I think he moved from California to Texas.
He did.
He did, yeah. And he's an incredible person, first of all, and he did something really great. I think there's an important lesson in what you just mentioned as well, that he didn't get a deal on Shark Tank, but the visibility led to something more. And so even if you don't get the deal you want, sometimes there's something better waiting for you.
Absolutely. And Rick had started a small company when he was in California and sold it for, I think, $1 million or $2 million.
Okay.
But his read arrest brought a good deal more. And
Okay.
so he's well situated to be able to take time to help also.
That's amazing.
Well, we have Joe Kesterson back when Joe was a young man. Great story. And I met Joe. He was running a mobile home sales lot. He ended up with 20-some, and back 30-some years ago sold to Palm Harbor, who at that time had the best mobile home on the market.
Right.
And Joe knew how to sell them. He and his partners got, I think, about $80 million back then when that was still money.
Wow.
And Joe has done a few things since that have made him even more. But Joe had his lot next to a piece of land I owned on Interstate 35 north of Dallas.
Right.
And as he started moving some of his units over to expand his showroom onto my land. And when I realized it, he had several mobile homes parked on my property. I went over there.
Parked on your property.
Yeah. I went over there with my attorney and I forgot who else, and walked into their showroom and said, Who runs this place? Joe came out of his office. He tells the story that night he went home and he said, honey, I met a guy today, a real son of a bitch, but I think I like him.
And it reminds me, Jay, I was responsible for the supply chain operation at this organization. We were a large $16 billion company. And in part of my region, I had a subcontractor in installation that was causing us to fail inspections as we were building these homes. And I'd have these long conversations with the general manager that ran the company. And why are we failing these home inspections? And it was fireplaces. For fireplaces, it's not a big enough product. I shouldn't be failing inspection. So we had a lot of conversations. The problem was never fixed. So we scheduled a meeting for him to visit my office and discuss how we're going to finally resolve this issue. He reaches my office, and he sits down, and we were getting ready to go through the details. How do we fix this problem? And he said, Ronnie, I just want you to know before we start that I've left the company. And I'm thinking to myself, why are you here? I have an issue that you can't fix now.
No.
And you just told me you've left and I can never fix that issue. But what was fascinating is that he said to me, I can't help you on that. There's some challenges within the company, but I'm getting ready to start my own company and I can help you through this new company. So I left the office, probably similar to what you just described. And I'm thinking, this guy is a terrible guy. He's left me with this issue that I can't fix. But as I thought about it, I thought this could be an opportunity for us. This company had a large share of our business. And he created this company. I moved all of our business to him. And he became a really good friend, even though I thought he was an awful guy for a few moments. But he became a really good friend, and he served us really, really well. He ironically had some challenges in that market because of the way they received the product. He couldn't get access to the product in that market because it was occupied by his prior company. He had to bring the product in. And the manufacturer didn't like that, and they blocked him from bringing it in. So I went to the manufacturer. We were a really big company, Fortune 500 company. I said, look, here's the issue. This prior company, I couldn't get the work I needed to have done. This guy can get it done for us at the quality that we want. Either you sell the product to him or I'm changing manufacturers. But anyway, it's an interesting when you meet someone and you think they're the biggest son of a gun that I've ever seen. I don't like them. And they turned out to be a good friend and a good business partner.
Well, and back to Biz Owners Ed, and we have one of our mentors, a friend of mine, gave him a copy of my first book.
Nice.
And he read it and said, I got to meet the guy that wrote this. I agree with every concept he's got in here.
Very nice.
And so we had, he lives over at Westlake,
Okay.
Next to South Lake, north
Right.
of Dallas-Fort Worth. And his name's Don Dystra.
Oh, yes.
Don's story is that he started building homes in DFW out of his garage with $100,000 and 2 people.
Oh, gosh.
Today, Don is about to knock on the billionaire door.
Oh, wow.
With several $100 million in there. Does some great things.
And net worth.
Well, he grew. Today, Bloomfield Homes
Wow.
builds 2,000 homes a year in DFW, and they own enough lots to build 25,000 more homes.
That's amazing.
Highly successful. And he and his wife, I thought it very interesting talking about the way you look and think of things, and entrepreneurs
Right.
sometimes use a little better approach. He and his wife decided they wanted to have scholarships for nurses, and these are pretty complete scholarships that
Right.
cover pretty much all of it. So they went to a university and they set this up, and they were having all kinds of their award scholarships, the students dropping out.
Interesting.
Don thought about it, and the next year he went to the hospitals and got to the people that were scrub nurses and aides and other jobs that were working in the environment but wanted to get ahead.
Right.
And now he doesn't have. I think he said last year they sponsored 157
Oh, wow.
scholarships.
That's incredible.
So it's pretty. But Don is just done a great job, and he's been a big help to us since he came on board as a mentor.
That's amazing. Now, you have some other great mentors. Renfro Foods, I think I've met them, and Paycom, if I remember correctly.
Right.
Tell us about some of those mentors. They're
Yes,
amazing.
Doug Renfro, Mrs. Renfro's Salsa, which
Yes.
is known pretty much by everybody, I hope.
Around the country.
Yeah, around the country. Doug is a great speaker, a lot of fun to listen to, and Doug has made his contribution and speaks every year and brings
Wonderful.
everyone in the gallery and the class. We call the people that audit the program of the gallery, and he brings each person that's there a jar of Mrs. Renfro's salsa, in addition to giving him a lot of good thinking on building a company.
So I didn't know much about Renfro before moving to Texas, but I was in Virginia on travel and I was looking for his salsa.
Found it?
I did find it,
Right.
and we had a great time with it.
That's beautiful.
But great
Another
product.
supporter is, and he doesn't speak. He just doesn't care, but he supports the program. Has the pickle company, Best Made Pickles,
Yes.
and they're all over the country. And so we've had just a lot of incredible mentors.
Now, you had another story that I think we discussed, like the one with someone parking their trailers on your property. I think it was with Jeff. If you,
Oh,
was
yeah.
it, your
Well,
office was right near his.
Jeff left a traditional.
So you have to tell us who Jeff is first. But
Pardon me, Jeff York
Yes,
of
yes. the
Paycom.
founder, yes.
and Jeff left a traditional payroll company and was among the probably the first with his partner in Oklahoma City. His partner opened up an office in Oak City, and Jeff rented what had been a garage behind my office, and I'd converted it to offices. They started Paycom, which I think a while back I saw it was a $20 billion stock now.
Wow.
So they've come a long way, baby.
From a rented office near your place.
Right.
That's incredible.
Which had been a garage. It wasn't real fancy, but and so Jeff has been a big supporter of biz owners and a big
That's
help
amazing. Absolutely amazing. Now, why would someone? And I think I mentioned this in our last program. I met a friend who was becoming a member of Vistage. There are a lot of great programs like Vistage, but your program is very different and very engaging, and just the ability to speak with so many leaders like the ones you've described that have built big businesses from zero. What do you see as the difference between yours and so many of these other wonderful programs?
Well, I think one thing that helps us is that break we take for food. The gallery can mingle with the presenters,
Right.
and the class often ends up with a mentor. One great story: a young man that we got in the class back in 2014 was providing at best a modest living for his family.
Right.
And when he came aboard, we kind of cheated a little to even make him a class member.
Right.
One of our presenters, Jim Attrell, who had just sold his mobile building company for somewhere over $20 million, took this young man under his wing and said, "You come over to my office." And this young guy had about 5 different things going, and none of them were very impressive.
Right.
And at the class, we told him that he needed to focus. You chase 2 rabbits and you don't catch any. He had 5. So Jim took him over to his office, spent a half a day with him, and went through all 5 of these involvements. And he said, "Yeah, you may lose a friend. You have to get rid of this one." And one of them, young man, said, "Well, that's my main income." And Jim said, "Well, don't quit him, but get a plan to replace him."
Right.
And long story short, it took him a couple of years, but we helped him. I spent a lot of time with this young man personally.
Right.
We helped him buy a company that had 10 employees, and the seller financed virtually all of it, and he found a little other outside money to put down. He had no cash, so he didn't have to put in the business.
So here's what's interesting, and that's an incredible story, because a lot of people think to get into business and business ownership, you have to have a lot of money to make that happen. But what you just described is the opportunity that a lot of people have, and they don't know it. But I'd love for you to speak more about the premise. How do you get seller finance business? How do you find the resources and support like you did for this person to buy and build a business? That's amazing.
I'll tell you, we did 9, we call them Story Time with the Legends.
Right.
They're 10 to 15-minute videos, and I'm happy to send them out to anybody that wants them if they just send me an email.
Sure.
And my email is, may I give that here?
Yeah, we can do that. We can actually have it posed on the podcast as well. Yeah.
Great.
But go for it. Let's tell them on air.
My email is JAYRODGERS, the numeral 2, @gmail.com.
Okay, fantastic.
And these are fascinating stories. One of them is Don Dystra telling about how he went from building the first houses out of his garage, and with $100,000, he says that when they started, they had 3 people, only one was getting paid.
Wow!
But this young man's story is on there too, and he tells it in a beautiful way.
That's incredible.
In fact, I was in the audience when they were filming this, and as he was telling his story, he said, "I want to tell you what Jay said during the filming, or when I talked to him."
Right.
He was looking over what I guess was my resume,
Right.
and pretty soon he said, "It appears you have a focus problem." And it got worse. He then said, "I'm not sure we can help you."
Oh, wow.
Well, this young man today, that company he bought with 10 employees, he called me a year or so ago, and told me, Jay, I just hired my 52nd employee.
Amazing.
It's pharmaceutical distribution throughout the U.S.
Right.
He came back, and I helped him buy a company that is twice his size and does pharmaceutical distribution worldwide.
Right.
This year, he will put over $3 million on his bottom line profit.
That is incredible, Jay. Absolutely incredible.
But those are not rare. We had one young man that 3 days before he came aboard hawked everything but his family and bought a company for $8 million.
Okay.
And did an M&A deal last year based on the company being worth $45 million cash.
Oh, incredible. $45 million in cash.
Right.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So they can get these stories on directly from you. I'll have to, at some point, I'd love to have some of those people that you just mentioned on the program.
Well,
because I think their story of building the business is amazing.
One of our mentors who's been with us since the first year, Tony Hartle.
Yes.
And Tony had Planet Tan, which was tanning booths.
I recall.
I think he had 20-some in DFW.
Right.
Sold that maybe 15 years ago. It's been a long time.
Right.
He had it sold when he spoke the first year and has spoken ever since at Biz Owners as a mentor. But he started Crunch Physical Fitness.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
He's not the franchisor.
Right.
He started a franchisee.
Okay.
But this story will blow you away, too. Tony had a partner, and he had taken a sabbatical for about 5 years to spend time with his son. He was divorced, and he bought a vineyard in Argentina. And so Tony called me and said, he's one of our mentors, but he called me and said, Jay, would you mentor me?
Oh,
and so I said, well, let's have lunch, and we did. And I said, I'll mentor you on one condition. And Tony said, well, what's that? I said, you sell that damn vineyard and get back to what you're good at, because he knows how to build culture.
Right.
He opened his first Crunch Physical Fitness in Killeen, Texas. It was Crunch's 250th opening.
Right.
Tony broke every record they'd ever set.
That's amazing.
And he moved to Austin and has been blowing this up for a few years now. A few months ago, he called, or it's been a year, I guess, by now, called, said, I've got a company wanting to buy control of my company, and if they do, I'll still run it, and I'll be able to put, they'll put enough money in, we can grow even faster.
Oh, wow.
Well, from the time, the first board meeting, I'm sitting in there with the rest of the board. Tony walks in with one bottle of Caymus Special Select, which is my weakness, walks up, puts it down in front of me, and says, Jay, that's for selling the vineyard.
So your advice was good for him.
And Tony, well, this deal, my first piece of mentor advice to him, he had a partner, and they were going to be 50-50, and the partner's a real sharp guy, too.
Right.
And I said to Alex, his partner, and to Tony, you don't want to be, Tony's going to do 90% of the work. You ought to make it 30-70.
Right.
And they did.
Okay.
That difference on this transaction they just completed was worth an additional $23 million to Tony.
Oh, wow.
That's
incredible.
The deal they made, they now have 67 owned franchise locations.
67.
19 open is all.
Okay.
And they sold it based on the company being worth, sold 55% cash based on the company being worth $210 million.
Oh, my gosh.
So Tony's got one whale of a story.
That is amazing.
The day that deal closed, he had talked to my assistant, and $25,000 ended up in my checking account, wired in. When I got it, I must add, it's my nature.
Sure.
I sent him a great thank you note, but in that thank you note, I said, Tony, if you really want to celebrate, you need to send a significant gift to Biz Owners Ed.
Nice.
And the next day, he sent them $25,000.
Oh, very nice. Jay, that's amazing. I know we're near the end of our program, I appreciate you coming in for a second time. I want to mention the 4 points that I read that you give to mentees about business and leadership. And then just give me your thoughts. You say there are 4 things that they really need to focus on. Stop trying to be irreplaceable. Focus on the strongest 20%. Let mentees make decisions. Utilize your resources. I think this is what the guidance you were giving to mentors. Walk us through some of that. What is it that you're trying to give people?
Give me the first one and I'll...
Stop trying to be irreplaceable.
Well, the only way that you can grow is to make yourself highly replaceable.
Right.
Because if you're working for someone else and you want a promotion, you can not get it simply because they don't have anybody that can do the wonderful job you're doing in that slot. And so instead of trying to become irreplaceable, focus on making yourself highly replaceable. And that means you've trained someone that does a great job, and you can move up the ladder. So
seems like a lot of people try to hold all the knowledge, and my position is give it away.
Absolutely.
Let them grow and evolve and change. Next one is focus on the strongest 20%.
Well, so many companies take all their training effort and put it on the bottom 80%.
Right. Very true.
And the simple truth is, you ought to take that same amount of effort and money and focus on the top 20%. You may need to replace some of that other 80%,
yes.
But it's a common mistake, and you see it particularly in bigger companies.
Agreed.
You want to... I mentor Tony Jerry. I don't know if you know who Tony Jerry is. Tony gets $15,000 a day for his consulting.
Okay, yes.
He's a consultant to big firms. And the theme that we have pushed, I've been helping him for 15 years, I know, is we help winners win bigger and faster.
Nice.
Not we try to take your sorry people and push them up the ladder.
That's true.
And it is, you know, his whole focus is I'm only going to try to sign up people and spend my time working for them that are winners. It makes his job so much easier because they already got the right mental.
Exactly. I think and you're right, sometimes a lot of people spend time focused on underperforming, trying to get them to par maybe, versus taking the ones that are doing a great job, give them the resources to do even more, and let them keep growing.
Take the best and make them better.
Absolutely. Yes. And then the third one is let mentees make decisions.
Well, again, you've got to accept that there's a cost of growing a great person.
Right.
And in our GPS tracking company, the fellow that ran it, I watched him make a $20,000 mistake.
Oh, wow.
And was able to keep my mouth shut, which is hard for me at times. But it probably helped him more than, you got to give them, if you're going to give them a job, you've got to give them the authority to do it.
Correct. Because otherwise they don't learn, and they're always looking at you for the answer versus trying to make those decisions.
A great story, and a fellow that you, do you know Rick Sapio?
Yes.
Well, Rick Sapio, a gal that graduated from our second year of our program, Jessica Nunez, and she was president of Dallas EO chapter a while back.
She's in communications, right?
Right. She asked Rick Sapio long before I met her or Rick to mentor her, and he said, I will on one condition, and that was you change the name of your company, because she called it Nunez Public Relations.
Right.
And she said, man, it was tough, but I did it, and the smartest thing I ever did. If your name's on the marquee out there, everybody wants you to handle their situation. So you want to let the people under you have the
And that's an interesting premise. and you're absolutely right, is how do you build a brand and get people doing what you can do, because you can't replicate yourself and there are only so many hours in a day.
Right.
So how do you get people doing your work for you and receive the level of respect and attention that's needed to help them be successful? Your last one is utilize your resources.
Well, and that one I put in because I wanted the world to know that a resource available to them is Biz Owners Ed.
Absolutely.
And Goldman Sachs has a great training program that several of our Biz Owner Ed, and the people that are out there playing to win big are looking for us. They're looking for Goldman Sachs.
They are.
They're looking for birthing of giants type programs that MIT started years ago. So that's kind of self-explaining.
It is. Jay, you are an incredible leader. Like I mentioned in early in the program, you are an absolute living legend. You're amazing at what you do. You're amazing at giving people the tools they need to do even better what they have the capability of doing. And so I appreciate you joining us and being a part of this program.
It's my pleasure, and if we bring someone to Biz Owners Ed and it can skyrocket their entrepreneurial efforts, which it will, I'm delighted. That's why I'm here.
And I'll say this as we close, but legacy is something that I think about a lot, and you are that person that is giving a legacy. You mentioned not having kids. These business owners are your legacy. And I'm just amazed at. I remember when I first walked into your class, and I thought, this is incredible. I've been telling everyone about it. So, Jay, appreciate you being here on Business Decoded with Ronnie Spellman, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks for joining us on Business Decoded with Ronnie.
My pleasure. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Business Decoded podcast with Ronnie Spellman. Please be sure to subscribe and share, and stay tuned for more incredible Business Decoded episodes.